Where do new ideas come from? What is the genesis of those masterpieces that have redefined modernity? At the beginning of the 20th century, a revolutionary artistic movement emerged with the ambition of changing everything. This movement was Art Deco, a new style with clean, pure lines that owes its name to an event with global repercussions, held in Paris in 1925. The International Exhibition of Modern Decorative and Industrial Arts. At the heart of this avant-garde event, and among the jewels that were awarded the Grand Prix, was a bracelet. Its name? Fleurs enlacées, rose rouge et blanche, or entwined flowers, red and white roses. Signed Van Cleef and Arpels, this bracelet was the perfect combination of tradition and modernity. You're listening to Voice of Jewels, a podcast from L'École, School of Jewelry Arts, supported by Van Cleef and Arpels, unveiling the stories and secrets behind history's most fascinating jewels. Paris, October 1925. As evening falls, Mathilde walks briskly along the banks of the Seine. But then again, Mathilde always walks briskly. She is a determined young woman with a quick mind. Ever since she was a child, she has dreamed of adventures and great discoveries. Leaving her hometown behind her, she moved to Paris, where she chose to study science at the Institute of Chemistry, one of the few schools to accept female students. Yet deep down, this fledgling chemist has the soul of an artist. She is gifted with a great sensibility, perhaps the result of growing up in the countryside, and possibly the reason why she dreams of becoming a perfumer. Now, the time has finally come to turn these dreams into reality. If Mathilde is walking so hurriedly along the banks of the Seine this evening, it is because she has been given a challenge. At the Institute of Chemistry, her mentor has asked her to create a modern fragrance, a unique perfume. Mathilde is excited, but wonders where to begin. Suddenly, the aspiring perfumer has a eureka moment. She decides to seek inspiration from the epicenter of the new spirit, the renowned International Exhibition of Decorative Arts, which in that fall of 1925 is being held on the banks of the French capital's iconic river, between the Eiffel Tower and the Grand Palais.
The 1925 Exposition Internationale des Arts Décoratifs et Industriels Modernes, forever known as the Art Deco exhibition, was a landmark event and undoubtedly a dazzling experience for the more than 16 million visitors who came to Paris.
Inezita Gay-Eckel, jewelry historian and lecturer at L'École School of Jewelry Arts.
It lasted for 7 months in 1925, and the millions of people who came appreciated that this exhibition represented the apogee of a new style born in the 1910s, actually, before World War I, Art Deco. Packed with wonders in every creative field, textiles, architecture, and of course jewelry, this exhibition left a lasting mark on the whole international art scene.
The buildings of the International Exhibition remind Mathilde of the modernist shapes of the machines in her laboratory at the Institute of Chemistry. But she doesn't have time to daydream in front of the elegant boutiques on the Pont Alexandre III, or the concrete tower designed by the architect Robert Mallet-Stevens. Time is of the essence, and Mathilde knows that she needs to find a solid idea. With renewed determination, she rushes into the Grand Palais. The interiors that unfold before her admiring gaze are quite literally breathtaking. She finds herself before the displays bringing together the wonderful creations of French haute couture, perfumery, and jewelry. In the section dedicated to perfumery, she feels as if she is exploring a strange glass museum where silver and mauve, gold and gray hues glitter under the lights. Everything sparkles, the epitome of finesse and preciousness. She crosses a small octagonal hall, surmounted by a luminous cascade made by the master glassmaker, René Lalique. Bottles, cases, boxes, powders, blusher, and varnishes. The perfumer's creations make her dizzy. And all of a sudden, Mathilde actually does feel dizzy. How can she ever create something better than all this? How can she create something new, and with what? She needs a change of scenery. She senses that the idea that will inspire her lies elsewhere. She moves into the next section of the exhibition, dedicated to jewelry, and all her worries evaporate. Wandering under a silver laminated awning supported by 8 columns enhanced with gold, she finally stops in front of a bracelet. A bracelet covered in roses with delicate openwork. It looks like very fine lace. She lowers her gaze and discovers its name: Entwined Flowers, Red and White Roses.
There's so many things we could say about this bracelet. We could go on and on. But perhaps it makes sense to first focus on the rose. The rose became an almost overarching icon of this modern period, now known as Art Deco. This taste for the rose may have derived way back from a revived interest for the period of the iconic rose of Marie Antoinette, but certainly the design hand of Paul Iribe, who designed for Poiret, for Coco Chanel, among others. This flower came to literally be known as the Iribe rose. To this day, you can find rose motifs whenever you study Art Deco, jewelry, textiles, architecture. It's still emblematic of the style. This bracelet remains an absolutely stellar example of the young Maison's already benchmarked style, while at the same time capturing the spirit of the times.
That's it. The rose is the flower she has been looking for. Mathilde has finally found the heart note of her future perfume. But that is not enough. She continues to admire the bracelet and notices other colors and small touches: green, white, yellow, and even black. Immersed in her contemplation of the bracelet, the young chemist sees the other notes of her dream perfume appear. Green and woody, white and floral notes. She can practically smell the bracelet.
Beyond its subject, the fleur enlacée reveals a rich and subtle choice of stones and colors. It's set with 463 diamonds, 293 rubies, and 108 emeralds, but also onyx and a heart of yellow diamond in the middle of each red rose. Above all, this bracelet is highly modern in its simplification of form, typical of the Art Deco style.
What fascinates Mathilde the most about this bracelet with its interlacing flowers is the way in which the roses are represented. They remind her of the words of poet Paul Claudel. To know the rose, one uses geometry and another uses the butterfly. Yes, modernity is the look here. A look that is both poetic and geometric, enhanced with scientific knowledge. The bracelet's astonishing design strikes a chord with Mathilde's very personal relationship to art. her ability to break down and reduce nature to its essentials.
If we focus on the white flowers alone, they're actually quite abstract, quite conceptual even, until we turn our attention to the red flowers. When we focus on the red flowers, we see roses quite simply. The intricate buff cutting of the rubies with their rounded tops to create mosaics, those mosaics set deliberately against chosen yellow diamonds for the centers, for the hearts of each flower, and delicate emeralds cut to make us see leaves, all add up to our seeing a velvety red rose. The bracelet incarnates a perfect balance between abstract art and realism, the new modern way of looking, which is being sought out and celebrated by the history-making 1925 exhibition.
Mathilde is lost in thought, standing before the bracelet. It is as if the past and the future no longer exist, only the present. Now that she has found her secret formula, all her stress has melted away. Her future perfume will be the mirror of this prodigious bracelet with its entwined flowers. Both symbolize a capital idea: freedom. The freedom to live with intensity. For Mathilde, this is truly the essence of modernity, taking the time to smell the roses.
It crystallizes what Van Cleef & Arpels represents during the Roaring Twenties, the Années Folles. Van Cleef & Arpels also lights the way toward future creative development. Renée Puissant, the daughter of Alfred Van Cleef, and his wife Estelle Arpels will lead the way into this period of enormous creativity, working notably with René Simlacaze, the designer, and culminating with invention after invention, such as the Certi Mystérieux, which will happen in 1933, with this patented technique of setting stones. You see the stone, you don't see metal, which makes you visualize a rose or a flower or whatever it is the jewelry artist wants you to see without knowing where there's any metal.
As night settles over Paris, Mathilde leaves the Grand Palais and walks over the Pont Alexandre III with a light step. Before her, the Seine sparkles, and it seems to her that at her wrists, she can smell the heady scent of roses, just like those decorating that stunning bracelet. Voice of Jewels, a podcast from L'École, School of Jewelry Arts, supported by Van Cleef & Arpels. With Inezita Gay-Eckel, jewelry historian and lecturer at L'École, School of Jewelry Arts. Written by Martin Quenehen and Aram Kebabdjian. Performed by Jean Ann Douglas and produced by Bababam.